Well, hello there, ShiftCast viewers. It's been a while. Or should I say since last week, because Michael here. I'm with Belair and Will, and we're back with the second episode of season 2. Although I look and sound a little bit different because not Michael. Michael is out for the week. He'll be back,
Michael
hopefully.
got significantly more Dutch from last episode.
He did, yeah.
I don't know what happened. He
Hmm.
just all of a sudden
He
he's
suddenly has this grudge against American sports for some reason. Except
yeah.
for hockey, he kind of likes hockey.
Hockey's a good one
Um,
for sure.
yeah.
It's been a busy week. You renovated the whole house too. Look at
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Man,
You
Michael.
If you are here from last season, you might have noticed. I don't know if anyone noticed, but almost every episode, I kind of slacked off near the end. I added another duck to my shelves above me or behind me. So I don't know. There's about 30 odd ducks at this moment. So every episode, there's one more duck. If you start from the beginning, there's one duck, and it keeps growing.
should I be
So-
adding
Get ready
Chrome
for
signs
That's
every
a little
episode?
Easter egg for you.
yeah, get ready for season 8 where you'll just be in like a car full of ducks. It's, like,
Right. If you've
wading
ever
through.
seen a James Veitch like sketch or comedy bit, you know what that looks like.
All right.
But
well,
yeah, hey, it's nice to be back.
it's good
Good
to
to have
have
ya.
you. You know, 1 week you were Canadian. You were saying words weird, and now this week you're all no elevation and bicycles, and you know.
That's me.
So
That's me.
what have you been up to? You know, since we last saw you, Jens.
Well, quite a bit actually. It's been really like more than half a year now, hasn't it? So a lot has happened since then. I am no longer working in esports, if you will. Of course, I'm still following everything because, it's always been a passion and it always will be. But I've taken up teaching. I am now an English and Dutch teacher in a middle school in the inner city of my city, Antwerp. It's a challenge for sure, without any real preparation for the job other than my language studies. And man, it's not the easiest school either. It is very multicultural, which is very interesting in a lot of aspects. A lot of kids come from all kinds of backgrounds. I would say like 90% have roots outside of Belgium. And some of the students in my class haven't even learned the language Dutch for more than 2 years. So
Wow.
it's really impressive what they're doing. But to then also teach them English is a lot. But it's the basics. So we just start from zero and we go from there. But yeah, I'm, as you can see, still in the same space, and yeah, it's been fun.
That's very cool. It's cool to hear that you're teaching. I know it takes a certain breed and there's a bunch of challenges that come along with it from people in my life I know who do it. So that's very cool to hear.
I've learned a lot. a
Yeah.
lot. Of course, I don't know how long I'll be sticking around on this school or in teaching. It's just my first year, just
Mhm.
figuring things out. But yeah, you learn a lot on the job for sure.
Well, can I say this is a small full circle moment in the sense that after ShiftCast suspended its operations, we'll say ended season 1. Let's just say that it was a long off season. I had sent you a message, Jens, and I was like, it's a real bummer because I always looked forward to the new ShiftCast. Like, I'm excited to see you guys bring them
Right.
back. And then here we are, you and I on season 2
Yeah,
of the
now I'm the
ShiftCast,
guest
so.
and you're the host.
Yeah. Well, it's it's again, Michael, like it's already the second episode, but so fun to have you here and be here with Will as well. Guys, we got some stuff to talk about as we get towards Birmingham.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Well,
What do we need to know, Belair? What do we need to know?
I know we're going to dive into all of it, but I do want to run a couple of the news hits past you guys real quick, and maybe we can just talk through them. I think the biggest one from North America, we had talked on episode 1 about what teams might be making moves. moves. It seemed a little silent so far, but since then we've got news that Frosty is going to be moving off of SSG. Seems like the rumors are that Kofor is going to be the replacement. I mean, knee-jerk reaction, like, Will, what did you make of the news? Good move, bad move, indeterminate?
It was unexpected, for sure. I got that DM from Achilles, like asking for the graphic, and I was like, wow, all right,
Yeah.
this is a big one, and
Yeah, this is happening.
I didn't expect it to be Kofor coming in too. I kind of was I, I was kind of hoping that they'd bring in someone with a lot more experience, if they were gonna make a move. But I don't actually mind this change. I think Kofor's a good player. He's had a breakout split with 9 Lives. Obviously, it didn't end the way they wanted it to, but it's a very interesting move, and the drama behind it as well. I don't think we'll touch on that as deeply as maybe some of you guys want us to, but there's a lot going on
Yeah,
behind the scenes
I
as
mean,
well that's just crazy. So this was a really um, significant first move, I think, of the
Mhm.
off season.
yeah, I do want to say something about that. We don't have to talk about it for a very long time, but it seemed like uh, they wanted a change and they wanted someone in place of Frosty, and nothing is quite confirmed on the side of SSG or Frosty or his teammates. So we're slightly speculating here, but as of recording, it seems like he had other priorities. He's still a great Rocket League player, and he has been streaming a lot. He's been grinding the game a lot recently, as far as we can tell. So I suspect him to be back sooner rather than later. Frosty, that is. But right now, it seems like there were some issues in his personal life. I mean, we're dealing with a teenager here, 16 years old, and he might have a different perspective on that than I do. I am literally twice his age. No, that's not true. That's not true. Almost. I'm 20. I'm 27, but getting there. So it's it must be hard for him too to figure everything out. I don't want to put any blame on anyone in this situation, but it seems like he's in a difficult spot with a relationship with someone quite a few years older than him, 20 years old, I've heard. And when we're talking about teenagers, then that age is not just a number. That is quite awkward for a team. If you're playing a team game and you have to prioritize your team and the game and everything that's going on in esports, that might be difficult when other things are going on. So I hope he figures it out. I hope the team figures it out. I hope everyone comes out of it better. But right now, it's a little awkward, it seems.
And I know that there's that piece of it on the field. It's a bit of a question mark as well, right? Where I just want to take you guys briefly through what this change might kind of look like. And honestly, might be a little more, the play styles are more similar than I anticipated. Frosty through one split, excuse me, most shots in North America, most saves, third in assists per game, last in shooting percentage. So this is a high volume player on both sides of the ball, on both sides of the field. And it looks like they're just kind of upgrading. Of course, the situations are different, so it's hard to really parse through. But Kofor, first in goal participation, which is 67%, is pretty unbelievable.
Wow.
Really, really high. The only player who I can think of offhand who's higher is a player like Zen, who's at like 69, which is just preposterous. That's for another podcast. But Kofor also number one in shooting percentage and second in goals per game. So still shooting the heck out of the ball, similar to Frosty, but just a way more efficient shooter. Who knows if that was just partially the situation that Chicago and Hoxer were able to mold around him, but it seems like SSG are kind of trying to take the same approach with Reveal and Scribbles playing alongside a ball dominant player. I don't know if you guys feel like this is an upgrade for SSG. Will, you had made the point. I kind of thought that if they were going to make a move, they might go somebody with a little more experience to kind of get him over that mental hump of winning these big points here. But I don't want to linger. I don't know if you guys have any last thoughts before we move.
I actually think it makes sense that they're getting another young player, because before they were SSG, Snowmen have been this team last season that surprised everyone by coming out of the gates playing like they're more experienced than they are. And I think it's kind of nice to have those players on a team together. They can inspire each other to get to greater heights. But I'm not sure. I haven't been following closely. I haven't been following NA closely enough to really know if you would consider this a lateral move or an upgrade or a downgrade. What do you think, Will?
If I'm gonna be honest, it seems like a lateral to an improvement kind of move for me. I think, especially with Belair adding that context of like he's a shooter and he's efficient. I think that's something you need. I think I was watching back Space Station highlights from this past split, and it was mostly Scribbles and Reveal that were really showing up and showing out. I mean, Frosty had his moments, but it was definitely like those two. And I felt like Frosty wasn't finishing as much as they needed him to. And maybe, perhaps that was part of the issue. I know. There's also speculation that he kind of was freestyling during the second split, or the second event. So I think they just thought maybe this is a slightly more mature option for their team, and also just a better statistical option for the team as well. So I think it's an upgrade.
Both still young players, but I guess if you want to be glass half full, Kofor kind of brings that pedigree now that he's played with Chicago and Hoxer, two veterans of their region and of the RLCS at large. So maybe he can bring some of that system or more professional mentality in. I truly don't really know. I haven't been exposed to the personalities of Kofor or Frosty very much at all. So I'm already on the fence of speculating on this stuff. But, I just hope that the Kofor situation works out well. I think this is still a great team who, like we saw, are in contention with some of the best in North America. But the question remains of now, what do Chicago and Hoxer do? I guess is the reporting that they're teaming again, because the news kind of came out. It was funny timing where it was like Hoxer's gone, but now Kofor's gone. So Chicago and Hoxer are getting the band back together. I don't know.
I think the
what's
idea
going
is
on
they're
there?
sticking. I think that's.
Yeah.
I think that I'd have to double check with Achilles, and obviously I can't do that right now because we're literally recording. But I'm like 90% to 95% sure that they're reuniting now, and I don't mind that. And I've heard some suggestions. I don't know what you guys think about this, but someone was saying, and I feel like his stock is a little low right now because of all the events happening. But just as a hypothetical, how would you see them faring with Frosty as their third? I'm not saying that's the best option. I'm not saying they should pick him up. I'm just solely speculative here. Belair, what do you think?
Well, he was one of the names I wrote down. Of course, it makes the paperwork easy. They can just do a 1-for-1. But again, I don't know what his situation is like. I think Chicago and Hoxer, if I'm trying to project into the mindset of those players, and we have seen that like careers can go longer, but they're clearly they've probably passed like their peak. They're on the other side of the mountain, as it were. Doesn't mean they're not still competitive. If I were there, I'd probably want to get something that's a little bit more of a proven commodity, even if it is an up and coming player. So Frosty's definitely there, but I wrote down a name like 5UP. I don't know what their situation's going to be like if they're sticking. Whatever the shrapnel from if Shopify Rebellion makes a move is something I'd have penciled in. Evo's probably on a lower end for me. Eris is a player who I've always been excited about, despite some of the results. And then if you're just trying to say like, hey, let's try and make one final push here, I think a player like Andy is super exciting as well. Had an excellent first split here for Deleted Gaming, was everything offensively. And if you're just trying to carbon copy some of the stuff that was working for you in the first split and put it on top of a new player, we have clearly seen that Andy can be on a competitive team that can carry a heavy offensive load. So Jens, I don't know if there's a name there that pops out in your mind, or maybe somebody comes over from Europe. Are you guys shipping over any imports these days?
Even more? Aren't there
Even
already
more,
enough?
yeah.
No, I don't know. That's your terrain now. But I mean, I don't think someone from Team Evo would go there.
Yeah.
Although maybe Speed if he really feels like it. I can see that happening. But no, someone like 5-Up makes sense. But if they want to go for a more proven commodity, why wouldn't they go for someone a little more experienced, someone a little older? You know, you see, just like with Space Station Gaming, that people around the same age are sticking together because I've heard it from older players too. I don't know who said it. Was it Torment maybe 1 or 2 years ago? Well, maybe it was Chicago actually. That it's much easier to team with people around your age, around your experience levels in RLCS,
Yeah.
because you're on the same wavelength already, right? You don't have to communicate things that are so natural to you because you already understand each other um, quite a bit more. So I feel like I don't know who would be available, but someone a little bit more experienced, someone a little bit older, could come in and fill up that gap. But I'm not sure.
I really like the 5-Up poll from you, Belair. I think that's a really good fit for this team. I really like his play. I don't know. He seems like a really down to earth guy. Just based on I'm basing that off of Apex streams, obviously, but still, like I think
Yeah.
he would be a good fit. And obviously you're throwing out that you want someone more experienced, and I don't think he's like the most experienced player, but he's kind of got that almost like an old soul personality compared to some of these other young talents. Um, to be honest, I wrote down kind of the opposite because I forgot that Chicago said that, Jens.
I
So
don't
I was
know if
throwing
it
out.
was him actually.
I think it was, and I was throwing
It
out
might have
players
been.
like
Yeah.
Scythe and like Resinal and Pidgeot, like the 100x35 guys, who were really close to breaking through this past split. So I'm definitely not on the same wavelength as you guys there, but it does make sense, and I think that's a good poll. I just was looking for an excuse to have some of my next up agenda here. But speaking of next up, right? So we have some news over in NA with the Frosty situation and Kofor splitting up with 9 lives, and now we had some news on Monday, I believe it was, where Gentlemates is starting their tryout process. So the move,
Gentlemen are making a
they're
change?
making a change.
Oh my
Whoa.
gosh.
So the situation is, according to us, Shift, basically they're keeping Seiko, Big Co, and they're making a move for one of the other two players, so either Juicy or Redosin. Now I have my opinions, and Bill Air, we talked about this before we started recording, but you know who I'm gonna say they need to replace. But let's talk about Eugen first. So that Eugen is on like top priority apparently. Tryout wise, do you think that Eugen can be the spark that they need to save their season after a bit of a collapse in Split 1?
Well, Jens, I don't know how much Eugen you've been able to watch this season, but I've been locked in. He's one of the most exciting players, in my opinion. And that start point roster, coming into the preseason, I would say the general consensus, not any one person, but if you took the aggregate of the community, his start point was probably what, like a 6 to 8 kind of seed. And that's about where they ended up. But I think Eugen popped a lot more than people anticipated, especially as a solo offensive presence. His ability to go off sidewalls and make something happen, beat one in the air, beat another off, a backboard touch, create for his teammates. I think that he's going to be a really interesting fit next to Seiko, who is another player whose dynamic is kind of an on the ball, draw in the gravity of the defense and then facilitate to your teammates. But the question is just, what are they going to do alongside Jens? You put on your GM hat for a second. Who's Who's staying? Is it former world champion or major MVP Radosin or Juicy?
Oh man. I mean, I think most people would say Radosin.
Yeah.
I I just like the way he fits into a lot of teams. But yeah, obviously, I mean, it's hard to deny Juicy the strength as a player he has. So I would probably say it would be Juicy and then a third, which yeah, I mean it's pretty obvious that Eugen, even if Shift wouldn't have reported on it, would be the prime candidate for that spot because
Hmm.
regardless of what he has done on start point, you know, he's in the French community, he's playing ranked, you know, people see him and fellow Rocket League players outside of the RLCS games, and everyone within the French community knows that he is the best prospect at the moment. So
Mm.
that's really, I think, what they're looking at, what everyone's looking at. Not so much how he performed on his team. Of course, that plays a role, but it's more like what can you actually do with a young player like Eugen, who has been proven himself in ranked, you know, in the Rocket League scene in general. And then how does that fit into your team is a secondary uh, concern. It's something that you figure out as a team. You know, Eversax is there to coach him along. So I think they're just looking at who are the best players we can get, not who have, uh, you know, showed that they are worthy of the gentleman spots in RLCS games. And then Eugen is the prime candidate because there's always some new French players popping up, but Eugen has really been by far the strongest. After him, it's a little bit more difficult to say exactly how you would rank them, how you would rate them. But Eugen has been clear of the rest in that regard. So I don't know if they would go for him. Of course, that's something that they need to figure out in scrims and talks and everything that's going on. I would assume at the moment. But yeah, to see him step in for, uh, let's just say Radosin. I like the guy, but let's just say Radosin. It would make sense.
I think the burning question for me is because I don't have a lot of insight or perspective into the French community and some of the relationships that are there. I mean, we talked about Chicago saying that it's always good to find people that are on your own wavelength. If we're now formally attributing that comment to him, who knows? But in
Maybe
a
I'm spreading
similar,
fake news.
yeah, it's all completely. But in a similar sense, like the French community trying to, bring in their own. Of course, it makes it easy for a litany of reasons I don't have to get into. All of this to say, I think the burning question for me is what is the relationship between Juicy and Seiko? They of course were together last season, and opted to stick together going into this season. Will, I don't know if you have any perspective on how strong the bond is. Like you said, we talked pre-pod about who we might move there, but just like what is going to be what are the tentacles that are going to come off of Gentlemates deciding to make a move here as one of these players are going to enter free agency, as it were.
I don't really have any insight on the European side of things usually. If I do have any insight, it's usually going to be NA. But I mean, it does speak to the fact that they were willing to stick over the off season, and they were confident enough to get like oust Itachi for this third spot to
Mm-hmm.
open up for Radosin. And obviously, I think everybody agrees, and you guys as well. That was a terrible move. It was, I mean, it was just a really bad move.
Did not work out well.
I can rattle off some
Happens.
stats for you if you guys want, just to compare the prospective top player
We
here.
love stats.
Love stats. Radosin was 44th out of 48 players in the Regional 3 in
What
shots
is
per
happening
game.
with your microphone, by the way, Will? Are you bouncing on your chair like Radosin? That there's something scratching against your microphone?
Is it cutting off a little bit or?
No. There's a ticking sound that I'm hearing
Oh,
when you're
There's
talking.
some popcorn crackle
is there really?
going on.
Okay,
Yeah.
There
I'm
might
definitely
be.
not bouncing up and down. I mean, you guys can't see my camera, but
He's
I
just
can see
real
myself.
excited about these Redosin stats.
Oh my God, they're terrible. I mean, oh my
Oh.
gosh, just it blows my mind how how poor of a split he really did have. And even in Regional 3, I think it's just my like head is expanding and moving my headphones here. So maybe I just need to invest in a whole new setup for this in the future. 'Cause I got rid of the noise machine, right?
Hey, that sounds
Building
good.
That's gone.
blocks.
We're getting there, and I'm not gonna echo this time. Someone in the anyways. So we'll just we can remove, regain, whatever. So
Growing pains of season 2.
yeah, yeah. I'm not a in front of the camera kind of guy, but I'll do it. And so yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, we can move back to this, um, but yeah, Radosin, absolute stinker of a split from
Hmm.
him. And I like the thing is I like the guy. I think he's got good vibes. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
he seems like a really stand-up dude. A lot of people in our Instagram comments are a little strange and they hate on him. They think he's a troll because he did the Tag the L dance that one time. I thought that was hilarious. It adds personality to the game and something that we don't have a lot of.
And to his own team as
I
well,
know.
right? It helps for your teammates to have someone like him around.
Yeah. It's just I mean it's he's got really good vibes. He's got a really good
Yeah.
personality. It's just the gameplay this split, and especially this last region where they crashed out, was just not good. So 301.8 in shots per game. He didn't put any shots on target. He was 44th out of 48. Um, he averaged a goal every 2 games. He was 30th in Europe for that, and he was 33rd in saves per game. So really,
Out of 48 still?
excuse me, out of
Out of
48. Yes,
48?
all these are out of
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
48.
yeah. That's
Um,
not amazing.
yeah, he's really down there, and these are all like a pretty wide variety of stats. Like even if you're a playmaker, you put shots on net. If you're a goal scorer, you score goals. If you're a defensive mastermind, you make saves, and he didn't do any of that. And especially as a team, too, they were bottom. They were 15th out of 16th in goals conceded per game in Regional 3 with
Mm.
2.9. Only Sick was worse, and they had like 5 something. So, and he's bottom of his team in goals, score, shooting percentage, assists. I mean, he had a really bad split, and I think this is a very obvious move. So I don't mean to like gang up and like come from the top rope here on Radosin. Um, as a guy, he's a great guy. It was not a good performance from Gentlemates, and something that I think their fans are gonna be very disappointed in. So that's my
Yeah, I
rant
mean,
over.
something that I have repeated on ShiftCast many, many times is that most roster moves are not made for things that happen in game, but are the result of circumstances outside of the game. But at a certain point, with a certain professional team that we have in France, right, like Karmic Corp, like Vitality, but also like uh, Gentlemates, you're going to have a look at the results as well. And if you're, going out to the likes of Ninjas in Pajamas and Ascent and Synergy in the last regional, then you really have to take a look in the mirror and look at what you can change to improve that. And a roster move, of course, is the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of people. And then you have players like Psycho and like Juicy on your team, then Radosin unfortunately might be the one to get his head put on the chopping block. But yeah, there's great players that can fill up that role and turn it into a better team if they are going to be back. I don't know. What do you think? Would a roster change like that instantly move Gentlemates into like the top echelon of European Rocket League? I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know either because there's so many strong teams, but to your point, I feel like you kind of have to make a move. It's just kind of as you were talking, I was thinking back on these players, and like Seiko is now, maybe it's not him, maybe it's just like the way the circumstances have gone, but he's now been on a couple stinkers in his career for a player who, at least if I'm ranking, my best players in the world, he's not a top 5 player, or maybe not even a top 10, but like I think Seiko is an excellent player. And so for him to have, the poor result back in the BDS days and now this, not saying that it means anything, but just something I'm aware of. But I do think you have to make a move. Like if you're Ninjas in Pajamas, you look at it and you say, look, only 4 spots. We're the 5th best team. if one thing went our way a little different than it did,
Right.
if you roll the dice several times, we're probably there, 6 out of 10 of them or whatever. But if you're gentlemates, I mean, to just totally flame out in such an unceremonious way speaks a lot to the pressure that they probably felt. And like you guys, I like Radosin, so I'm just bummed. And we're having the funeral for something that hasn't happened yet. But it seems like the most likely move, I think, is not crazy to say. And I'm just bummed for him because if he goes from here, I'm reminded that oftentimes we don't know that the best days are behind us until they've already happened. And like maybe the Radosin vitality thing, I don't know if we'll see Radosin return to that stage if he leaves here, especially with Europe being so strong as a region, so
Yeah,
top
you
heavy.
make a good point. Like they currently don't have the top players in Europe, which incidentally also means you don't have the top players in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it a difficult climb. But there is some news about the top player in Europe and the top player in the world. Raleigh just getting pulled around by a ones main in the 1v1 RLCS league in Europe, which is a thing now. We have 1v1 in RLCS, which is exciting. To be fair, the gameplay could have been a little bit more exciting at times. But once I love once. I just love to watch once. Not all of the RLCS playoff games were of the highest caliber, or highest quality of entertaining 1v1 gameplay, but it's just such a lovely chess game. I love to play chess as well, so it's right up my alley of like every slight overcommit, every inch that you're out of order, you instantly get punished for it. And you don't see that in any other game mode like that. So it's really fascinating to see how different Rocket League can look in a 1v1 scenario, and how good players can be in both 3v3 and 1v1, because Drali has, I mean, by now claimed the position of best player in the world at the moment, right? I
think
think
he has the belt.
last week you guys were already talking about it like that. And now he didn't quite win the 1v1 RCS, but he got very, very close.
Mm-hmm. I think ones is great because you get to see the play style and the personality of the players in a more direct way. Because 3v3, the camera's hopping around, and this you're like, oh, I understand how Atao approaches this and that, and the chess element of it. Like you said, it's similar to that, or something like boxing or tennis, like these one-on-one where it's like me versus you, is always super exciting to see, and it is, I think, a cool outcome for Moxie to kind of get vindication or whatever as one of the this is a positive spin on him being unable to find success in 3v3s, but it is cool to see. Will, would you have preferred that we would have had one of our 3v3 studs kind of rise to the top here so we could keep that cohesion? How do you feel about the introduction of someone who's probably unknown to the wider RLCS fandom unless you follow the one scene?
Definitely not. I definitely like that we have someone that isn't a threes main representing Europe. I think this is big. First of all, I just like seeing new players at LAN. I like seeing new players get their shot at the world
Yeah.
stage and go more mainstream. And ones is a great way to do it. I agree with Jens. It wasn't the most to be honest, I'm just gonna say I thought the ones in theory was a good idea. I thought it was pretty boring. I was excited for it, and it just wasn't. It wasn't as entertaining as I would have liked it to have been. But I think that shouldn't discourage Psyonix and Epic and Blast or whatever from doing this again. I did like it. I like the idea. But yeah. So I agree with you though. I think Moxie being the representative is big. And it gives him the kind of ability to show off on the world stage in a game mode that he's good at, as opposed to trying to, you know, I don't know, you you don't want to force him to go down a path he doesn't want to go down. If you know what I mean. Like
Mm.
That's fair.
don't put him in a threes box if he's a ones player.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's fair. Although, I think if you follow 1v1 and Rocket League a little bit deeper, then you know that not everyone was rooting for Moxie.
that's true.
Yeah.
Because he can be quite a toxic personality in his ranked games, which leads to stupid arguments between the pro players as well. Because of course, there's this huge weakness that he has is that he's never really achieved anything in 3v3. So that's an easy thing to get him on.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't always have the nicest of comebacks, let's put it that way. So not even all French people were rooting for Moxie. I mean, especially not against Drali or someone else from Karmine Corp. But yeah, I mean, he's been good on the RLCS broadcast. I have to give him that. Very professional, very likable. A lot of likable characters, like you said. You see these players in such a different light. You get the interviews as well. You really get to talk to them. Really get to see them about in a different light, in a different circumstance, and you see characters like Trebla come in
Yeah.
and just popping along to his main character music. I mean, that's just great. It's great to have some more wholesome Danish people in the scene as well. But Moxie, maybe not always as wholesome, but it shows how much he has been grinding once and how much that has brought him success to get here. Because he really has done everything to get to this base. Of course, he didn't have control over 1v1 being added to RLCS, but he was ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
He was ready for it. I mean, when it was announced, I think people instantly talked about Moxie winning this and going to LAN, and this finally being the chance for him to be at RLCS LAN. So that it actually went that way is quite nice. I see that too.
Yeah, with everybody assuming it would be him. Sorry, Will, but it was cool to see that he actually rose to the occasion where he could have
Right,
just
that's what
totally
I mean.
folded under the pressure
Yeah.
of like everybody thinks I should win this.
Yeah. Which is, I think, also now that you mention it, this pressure is part of the reason why the RSS playoff games were on the boring side. I think that's something you see in football all the time, like grand finals of Champions League or any other tournament, especially like World Cup or Euros, are going to be quite boring more often than not because there's so much pressure on them to not lose mostly, right?
Yeah.
That's something you hear professional players in any sport, in any game, say all the time. I love winning, but more than that, I hate losing.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes to a peak in those kind of circumstances where grand finals are in football not very often high scoring games. And in this case, that's impossible because the 1v1s are almost always high scoring games, but you're going to have more boring games than if you just watch the show matches that Fear and Johnny Boy put on.
Yeah, and so I think we can move on because we knew Moxie was gonna be, you know, I feel like a lot of people expected him to win this, but let's move over to Sam where we had a bit of a surprise. Belair, do you want to talk us through what happened in Sam ones?
Yeah, Yan ends up carrying the belt away, and if I'm not mistaken, guys, please correct me, but was it did he overtake Mata in the final? That wasn't the semifinal, it was the finals, correct?
I believe you're right. I'm looking it up right now.
I'm almost certain. I'll give a selfless plug to Edit Tim, whose video I was watching recently for the Sam 1v1 replays.
It
but I
was
think
Mata.
it was Mata.
4-1. So Swift
Yeah,
and
yeah.
KV1
Yeah.
both fell in the semis. And I
Which
don't-
which is a crazy result, especially like Yan is just like such a great player. You could tell me that, you know, he was playing Snow Day and was the best in the world. I'd be like, yeah, Yan's awesome. But like Mata, I was like, oh, I've never really considered Mata to be that caliber of player. Maybe that's just my own personal
I don't
bias.
think a lot of people did. I think actually the semifinals that Mata had against Swift was more deciding here because Swift
Yeah.
was more of a favorite to actually go to the finals and maybe take that away from Jan because Jan, of course, big name, big personality in Brazil. But Swift was someone that a lot of people expected to actually overtake him there, but he didn't make it. It was Mata who pushed through, made it to the grand final, and then Jan just ran away with it.
I will say
And
though,
and I've yeah, go ahead, Will.
Yang did have a couple of pretty big upsets because I think top three in Sam, like players that are currently competing in Sam, so not including Diaz, I'm pretty sure it is Swift, Wisty, and KV1. I think those are the top ones guys from that region. So Yan, not only did he beat Wisty, he also beat KV1. And then Mata kind of set him up there with his
Yeah,
win over Swift.
The
But
gauntlet.
yeah,
yeah. I mean, it was
I've
just fun
been
to watch still, even though here too was not the most spectacular. I mean, we didn't see a game 7 in the semifinals or the grand finals or anything like that. But the Rocket Street broadcast makes it so much fun to watch South American Rocket League. It really there's such amazing guys over there. Whether you speak Spanish or not, it's great to hang out in their chat.
yeah.
and so much energy, and I guess to the next piece of it is now that we know who our representatives are going to be. Moxie obviously does not have the LAN experience that
But
Yan
is an
does.
amazing once player.
Is an incredible ones player. So it's like, what is going to win out? Like, I wonder if he can kind of get spooked by the big stage where Yan has hit one of the, if you were making a highlight reel of like the biggest plays that have ever happened on stage, Yan is responsible for at least one of them when he dropped Moist. So he's comfortable. I wonder what's gonna win out there. It'll be cool to see a clash that we typically do not get to see.
Oh yeah, a lot of people are doubting Moxie's ability to stay cool on a LAN stage and pull off the win, because I think in general Europe has had more success in 1v1 than South America, and Moxie on paper should be able to beat Jan there.
Moxie
But
just screams Landboy to me. I don't know why. He just gives me such Landboy energy, dude. He seems like
on an
he's gonna
RLCS
sweep.
stage, he's never had to prove it.
It's
So.
true. It's true, but I just feel like he's one of those guys, just based on his personality and like what I know about him, I just feel like he is going to be one that feeds off a crowd. And even if they're hating on him, I feel like that'll just fuel him more. So it's definitely kind of an angel versus devil little 1v1 matchup here, I think, depending just based on, personality. So I think that
I'm
carries
really
us.
curious.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm really curious which way the Birmingham crowd is going to go, because it's, yes, the European representing them in Moxie, but it's also a French guy,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
the Brits are not very fond of the frogs, so we'll see about that. But that might be an interesting interaction there as well. I hope the crowd is good, because in a 1v1 there's not that much going on all the time, especially in the last minute of a game, could be pretty dead. I hope the crowd is really going to make that a great grand finals.
Yeah, and I wonder where they're going to put it. Hopefully that's not like a lunch break for half the crowd, or, going to the concourses or something. Hopefully they wedge it into a time where everybody's kind of locked
Yeah,
in.
well, that's what now that Moxie's representing Europe, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, maybe for Jan still is, but I was really wondering about this, because what if you have Karmine Corp making it all the way to the grand finals, right, in 3v3, and then Drali also having to fight against Jan, or the Brazilian representative. They can't do that as like a show match before the grand finals. That would be crazy. I mean, I would kind of love it. I would kind of love it, but I know that Farah is going to.
Could you imagine
kick
losing in a
up
1v1
storm.
in like game 7 overtime and then immediately having to turn around and play threes for a final? I would cry.
Right.
Word
yeah.
on the street is he
Or-
threw it on purpose to avoid. No, I'm kidding.
Or having to win a game 7 overtime in once, and then being so exhausted that you're worthless for the rest of your team in 3v3, and you're costing them the grand finals for the bigger tournament. Because Moxie, I mean, it's great what he has been able to do in once, but he's always kind of missed out on where the hype and the money and everything is in Rocket League, which is 3v3. So winning it brings in quite a bit of cash and fame and everything, sure, but most of the eyes and the prize are still on threes. So I'm not sure if Farah or any coach, for that matter, would have been happy with their once player making it that far while also having to compete in the threes land. But yeah, I hope it's not going to be just put in a lunch break, sure, but at the same time, can you really blame them for not putting it on prime time? Could be clashing.
Yeah.
That's true. I think us talking about Carmine Corp kind of ties us into our next segment now that we're kind of at the
Oh
latter
no, I've
half
been
of the
dreading
need to
this.
know. And I am so happy when Michael wrote this out that he put me
I've
as the
been
judge for this
been
segment.
dreading
I'm
this.
about to explain why here in a second. So, we're going
Go
into a
for it.
segment called Angels and Devils, and we're going to debate the feasibility of the top teams at LAN winning the whole thing. So, one of us is going to take the Angel position, which we're going to argue the team's going to win this event. Another host will take the Devil position, so they'll be like, okay, this team sucks actually, and they're going to like crash out at 16th. And then someone else will have to play judge and choose basically whether they're listing the angel or the devil on their shoulder. And thank God when Michael wrote this up that he put me as the judge for Carmine Corp and not the angel and definitely not the devil. Jens, this
Can I
is
just can I say before we hop in two things. First, Will, don't think that I missed your transition before with the Angels and
I
Devils.
tried.
I saw what you were doing there.
Appreciate it.
And I want to I just want to extend an offering, Jens, if you would like, since you are, this is the
Right.
first podcast of the season. I'll extend an olive branch. If you would like to trade positions on Carmine Core, I'm happy to do it because I've thought about this a lot. But if you want to keep it how it is, it's your call. I'll let you steer the ship.
Oh man. It's so awful because Michael, gosh darn it, put me on devil, and he knows very well what he's doing because for the listeners who don't know, my girlfriend is an avid Carmine Corp fan. Uh, so I now have to take the position of rooting or like making a statement, making a point against Carmine Corp winning the Birmingham Major all outright. I think I can do it,
Okay.
but I will preface it by saying that this might not completely be true to my own opinion. I'm just, playing the devil's advocate, or in this case,
Mm.
devil himself.
It's a bit of a cop out, Jens, but I don't blame you.
Yeah,
And I wish you luck
that's what I'd
on
say. Can you?
social media after this if it makes
The
its way to the blue
best of
wall.
luck to you.
Good luck.
Yeah. I'm
Salute.
ready. I'm
Oh
ready.
sevens in chat. But
I'm
I
ready.
think I'm ready to bang my gavel and say, Belair, BA, give me your take. Why is
You
Carmine Corp
know,
winning the dang thing?
I'm glad that you asked, Will, and I feel like I have probably the easiest job that we're gonna have as we kind of dip our toes into this segment. Why would Carmine win this whole thing? They've been the most dominant team in the world, head and shoulders above the competition, in my opinion. Strongest team, strongest region, arguably the best player. And to go along with that, you have Vatira and Atau, who just, you know, they have been able to show up on LAN. I think this team has run laps around the competition so far this season, and they seem like the clear odds-on favorites to win this whole thing.
All right, Jens?
Well, you can say it's a cop out that I prefaced it by saying that it might not be my own opinion, but it's not a cop out that I'm actually doing this. Um, no, Carmine Corp, they're not going to win the tournament, man. They're not going to do it. They've just shown the world that you can beat them, right? GK or GK. I think it's GK, right? Everyone still
Pretty sure
Yes.
it's GK. Even
It
though
Yeah,
was
the
it is.
confirmed by
broadcast was
Nick.
saying GK,
Yeah,
so I have
what's
no idea.
yeah, well, everyone's still saying GK, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But GK has proven that they are beatable. And I have heard the Carmine Corp position. And it's up to you to decide whether that's copium or not. But the position is that, it's been a long few weeks, and it has been a long few weeks, and it doesn't really matter, and it doesn't. They were fully, locked in for Birmingham. One more win or a couple more points is not going to matter for them too much. I mean, hopefully it doesn't come back to bite them, but it almost shouldn't when we're already getting all the points from the Birmingham Major, right? Like getting to Worlds is not really that much of a concern anymore. But they did lose, and if you are Carmine Corp and you have been just winning everything, are you just going to let that slip? Are you just going to give up halfway through Championship Sunday, that doesn't make sense to me. So, what it shows is that you can beat them. They're not at the top of their power. Actually, they haven't looked this bad all season, if you will. I mean, they've been winning everything else, apart from the last thing. So they haven't looked this bad all season. So they're coming in as a team that can be beaten. And we have some candidates who can do that.
Okay. I can definitely swing both ways on this one. I think I'm gonna be swapping out my little devil horns for some angel wings here, though, because I agree with Belair. They're dominant. They have Drally, Canadian GOAT, Kansas City Pioneers legend. I'm gonna work that into every time we bring up his name, because I just think it's so funny that's, he had a contract with KCP, and I just think that's awesome.
The
Right.
KCP days.
Oh man, he didn't even play. I don't think he even. It's fine. Uh, but yeah, I'm gonna be taking my angel
No, he
wings.
didn't. He didn't.
I'm gonna fly away. Jens, I can see where you're coming from, but they did have a really dominant championship Sunday.
No, not me. The
Sorry,
devil.
the devil.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
the devil. I can see where you're coming from. The devil. They had a bad grand final, but they had a good championship Sunday. Very dominant. Other than that one matchup, so I think I'm gonna fly high, as it were, and I think that
Yeah, I
transitions
don't blame
us
you.
really well to our next team, Team Falcons. Jens, the judge. Take it away.
Well, Team Falcons, huh? A team that's been on the cusp of winning majors for a decent while now. Can they do it, Will? Angel, tell me, can they do it?
I'm the angel on your shoulder, and I've been a Mina Glazer since day one. All right, what a region, man. Beautiful region. Now they have two teams. They have, I can't pronounce his name, but Nwipo. They have Rise. Atomic exists. He's there for sure.
Atomic
And you
exists.
got the Team Falcons boys though, man. Oh my gosh, I mean, they've been so close to winning it all. I think as long as they don't play NRG, which I'm gonna be playing the devil here about like a minute or so. As long as they don't play NRG/G2, they're winning it all. All right, they own Team France at FIFA E. Little broed them a little bit. So I just think this is just pickings. This is easy pickings for TRK. Easy pickings for Ross. Easy pickings for the other twin I can't spell the name of. Kaliers. He's got a lot of double letters in there. But this is just, Mina's going to be rejoicing in about less than a month.
Devil here checking in. I gotta say, what a terrible take that is. FIFA E tournament, that was on your home soil, and you were only playing against like two other teams that were even full roster. You're probably worn out and resting on your laurels thinking that you already won a trophy. And it doesn't even seem like you're trying as hard this season. I mean, Infinity takes a series off of you. Twisted Minds run you when Rise is on 20 ping. Not looking good. And you don't have the new factor anymore. I don't think that anybody's really afraid of you in the same way that they were last season. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just Will's power, but there's a little angel that has to come to me and say, I think they had the highest peak of any team in the RLCS last season. But let me shake that off because I'm the devil and say that it's not happening this time around. You have two strong teams from Europe. Twisted Minds are on your butt. I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, but I'm listening to the devil right now.
Oh yeah,
feeling the horns prickling in my neck, breathing into my ear, saying it's over for the Falcons.
Wow.
Wings down, crushed.
The bird's been landed.
If you're not here for the come up on March, whatever day it is, what day is it, guys?
Whatever day.
Don't come to the parade on March 27th. All right.
Wait,
you are not invited.
What's that? What's that, devil? A quarterfinal exit.
No.
Wow. I'm hearing a lot of things from this devil.
It was rigged.
But I'm not hearing a tournament win for the Falcons.
It was rigged.
Well, what about another team who might have the odds to win this whole thing. I swear I almost said G2. I don't mean it. Sorry. NRG, we have Jens as the angel and Will as the devil here. Jens, excuse me, Angel. What's your pitch? What's your sales pitch for NRG?
NRG are just the best team in the world. There's like one country in the world that would dispute that. So are we really listening to them? NRG have all the components to win this because what they have is a G2 lineup. And what do you need to make it that far? A G2 lineup. But what does a G2 lineup lack? They lack the ability to win trophies. Who won Season 8 of rlcs? That's right, that's NRG. They can do it. So they combine the best of both worlds. And they are not only able to do it, they will do it.
Yeah,
Incredible take.
That's a load of crap for me as the devil. That's just a terrible take. I need to remind you, Mr. Angel, that the last 3 NRG LAN appearances did not go very well. They crashed out before the crowd back in SoFi. They made it to the grand finals. They didn't win. BDS owns them. Monkey Moon's just that guy. And then they finally got a top 8, and it was like the most Mickey Mouse COVID top 8 of all time at Worlds. I was there. I watched it. Also, the more I stare at the word devil, the less it looks like a word, which is unrelated. This team, this org is cursed right now, and I don't think they're gonna break it. They're gonna lose to freaking, I don't know, Vitality, who look terrible right now, really early on, and it's gonna be just tears from the NRG fans again. Sorry.
So a couple big takeaways. I love the transition of Angel into Devil just for that like half a second dunk that you get to pull on be like stupid Angel. I also I gotta say maybe I'm wrong, but Jens, I don't know if I think that you believe the words that you were saying. I think
Well,
I think you might think
maybe
that there's some strong European teams that are out there.
maybe it wasn't me. Maybe it was an angel on your shoulder.
I think that's what it was. And it'd be great in the future once we like have like a like a big TV budget, we can like superimpose the two people on the shoulders of the other guest. But for the time being, maybe it's just my own bias and how I look at these teams coming in. I'm gonna side with the devil. I think Open 3 getting on boot camp and having probably your worst of the 3 opens is not a good sign
Didn't even have to
coming
bring
in
that up,
here.
by the way. You just know.
Yeah, I guess I'm just giving you extra credit here now that you've
Appreciate
got
it.
the win.
Yeah,
But
I mean that's all a bit silly because you're talking about in the future maybe we can do some more graphics for this segment. In the future they've already won this major, so what are we talking
Yeah.
about?
I've changed my answer. Angel wins it.
Wow.
What a come from behind.
Switching
That's
up
a
on the
half court
devil
buzzer
again.
beater right
You don't want to
there.
dance on the devil. Alright, you don't want to dance with me. You don't want to tango, Belair. And
Who do we
I'm gonna
want to
hold you
dance
against
with?
this with your little vitality take later, because I've already made up my mind.
Well,
Good
let's
luck.
talk about it, Will. Who do we want to
Good
dance with?
luck. Belair, lead off.
Yeah, I think Will's going to go get a snack while I talk about team vitality here. You can't argue with the resume, right? 2 world champions, former best player in the world. Some would argue, and I might be listening to that argument, that they still have the best player in the world here in Zen. I just think that you have to rely on the pedigree coming in. Once we get to the LAN stage, we've seen in the past that Monkey Moon and Exotic have had rosters that have underperformed, and then once we get onto the big stage, there's very few names that I would want to have defend the trophy on my behalf, other than a player like Monkey Moon. Zen is still young and hungry, and to be honest with you, I think that the whole 1v1 situation that happened with him and the fallout that we've seen and the embrace that he's got from the community, I think that that's a positive as we head into a LAN environment here where he's been able to get the monkey off his back and kind of talk through and bring to the community the pressure that he feels. And I think everybody rallying behind him is just going to embolden him to be his best self here in Birmingham.
Ooh.
Really
Done?
though, really. Zen being the best player in the world. Not even Vitality fans believe that anymore. What are we
Hmm.
waffling about? Zen has not showed up in 2025, and it's an issue. It's a glaring issue. I love a lot of players on the team. Love Cassio, the coach, great individual. But it's they're not even close to being the best team in their own region. How are they going to win in an international tournament? They've just been dropping, like they've been getting swept by Karmine Corp. You can't do that because it will be so easy for other teams in the world to just figure out what's going on with your team, where your weaknesses are, and just abuse the hell out of them. You can have Monkey Moon on your team, who's always going to be solid, but if Zen and Exotic aren't going to be on the same level, there's just no chance that Vitality pull this off.
What a great point from the devil. But Larry, obviously you can't see my camera right now because we're still working out the kinks, but I was pretending to sleep for like half your segment. But I was
I
listening.
appreciate that.
I was listening. You know, you did make some great points, I have to admit. But I haven't moved on from my Vitality is hot cross buns mentality from last podcast. I don't think they're very good. They kind of had a stinker run this past split, even though they made. I guess it's just my expectations of them are so high, and they haven't met them. And I expect a dominant performance. At least I at least expect a major or a win, like some sort of tournament win, and they didn't get that to me. So I'm
Yeah,
siding
if I
with
can
the
speak
devil.
for myself instead of for the devil, I will say, I mean, they came in as this super team, right? They were the championship winning team. They had all the world champions they could find on one roster. It does make sense, in my personal opinion, not the devil's, that it takes a little bit longer for them to figure out how they want to play, what they want to do to get some good results than a team like Karmine Corp, which has basically already been proven, right? So it makes sense that they needed some time to get into it. But I think we will, as a devil and as myself, I think we will see the fruits of that in the second split and not in Birmingham.
I'm just hoping that somebody's going to aggregate our video and just clip the Jens segment out of context and be like, Jens goes in on Vitality. He doesn't believe in him at all. He's like, they have no chance. They're
Well,
terrible.
I
I
would
might
have
post that
gained
on Twitter just
trust.
for the likes.
I would have gained the trust of my girlfriend back, so I'm all
That's
good with
fair.
that.
It's all about balance, you know? It's like how I put Will in the position. I made my own bet. I got to sleep in it. I knew I wasn't going to win that round. But maybe I can win the next round here. We'll see. I
Yeah, the
think
next round,
yeah,
we're
go ahead.
talking about a team called Furia, which has been furiously trying to get those LAN wins, but have fallen short more often than not. So can they do it, Will? Is this the moment
I think
that
this
South
is
America celebrates?
as a known Angel and a known Panthers Furious supporter. For all my days, you know, Yan is not a free backboard merchant anymore. All right, he's had a resurgence this split. This whole team has had a resurgence this split. This org, things are looking up for this team. Like they swept the region. They, you have this one of the top prospects, and you made him look like a fly against a windshield. This whole split. I mean, he took you to 7 once, maybe twice. I don't even know. Doesn't even matter. I don't care enough to remember what exactly happened because the only thing I know is Furious swept the dang thing. And they're coming into this hot. Drafinha's looking good. Loss is looking good. Yan, still not a free backboard merchant. He's the man. They're winning this whole thing. I mean, the Falcons had their little Mickey E whatever. First I don't know, 3v3 major region win. I don't care. This is the real thing. This is the RLCS. This is the big boys league. And Furia and the Panthers are going to take it by storm.
You were running out of steam towards the end because it's so hard to make a good case for this team. They got no chance. Will, I think this is the same team that you said had the worst jersey of the 16 coming into this tournament.
I did
I'm
actually
not
put
mistaken.
Twisted Minds below them, but it's not a great one for sure.
It is not a very
Twisted
good
Mind, did you
jersey,
see
but
Twisted Mind? Like, what are they doing? Light blue and pink? It's like a gender reveal, but they didn't know what the gender was.
See, your take
That's
is so
very progressive from
weak.
Silent
Yeah,
Country.
It
very
really is. That's
progressive.
something. Your take is so weak that you have to co-opt my own segment in order to try and take me off my stride here. Look, Furia, how many times have we seen this roster show up to LAN? They obviously big brother their own region, but every time we get into this international environment, we're going to see them go 3-0 or 3-1, and then we're going to get into our playoffs, and they're going to fizzle out sooner than everybody else. When you're looking down the barrel of a Carmine Core or a Vitality or NRG or a Falcons, they're going to strike some fear into you. But if you get Furia on the other side of your semifinal, you're breathing a sigh of relief. You know that they are not the same level of challenge as some of the top caliber teams in the world. I can't see a scenario where they're going to end up winning this one here.
Wrong.
Well.
Wrong.
I mean,
Wrong.
I have to
Nuh-uh.
doubt your words a little bit, Will, because who did you call Aura Man again?
Oraman? Yeah, it's Yan.
It's Jan,
It
isn't
rhymes. Oraman, or
Yeah,
Yan, if you will.
well.
Hey,
Well, it
that's a
seems
meme
like
that I made when I was coerced into it by Michael. So he
it
paid
seems
me
like
off.
all his aura is gone from wearing that jersey. So I don't think there's anything left to save him there. Any salvaging
I
to be
don't.
done.
Perhaps you
So
didn't hear me. I said he was not a free backboard merchant twice.
yeah, and I
He's
still
beating
didn't
the
believe it the second
allegations.
time you said it. Yeah, the second time didn't sound as believable either. So I'm gonna give it to the credible devil here.
Wow. We're gonna get
He's got
canceled in our
taking this
second
one.
episode because of a bunch of devil worshippers on this show.
Yeah, we're satanic as hell over here.
Man, no, don't say that. No.
Who is that sponsor we were talking about before we went live? No, I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. All right, let's pivot to the next segment
The
before we
next
spend
one.
any time on that. Jens, would you like to introduce what we're doing next?
What are we doing next? We are doing a very wholesome version of Kiss, Mary, and Unalive, as the TikTokers say.
Mm.
We are doing start, bench, and cut. In a way, I think that's quite a negative sentiment here, Michael, because you have to say something negative about two players. But we have to figure out of three players mentioned, who are we going to be starting in the roster? Who's going to be a player who's playing this team? Who's going to be benched? And who's going to be cut?
I just
In
looked
round
at
one.
mine. I'm not excited about my segments, but I'm not round one, so
I'm
sorry.
not
Jens.
exactly
Each one of
doing
us-
jumping jacks over here either.
Each one of us will take 2 trios to decide who we're going to start, bench, and cut. And Will is going to kick us off with Daniel, Beast Mode, and LJ.
I'm starting benching and cutting Daniel, Beast Mode, and LJ. That's what I've been tasked with, and I gotta say, guys, this is a tough one to start out with. I think I got a pretty bad draw here. That being said, NRG fanboys, look away. This isn't gonna be good for y'all because they are not. Jens, are you an NRG fanboy?
More when Garachi was on the team.
That's fair. But he's not, and these guys aren't going to be on the pitch. They're not starting. Daniel in beast mode, I'm sorry, you're not starting. LJ is my starter out of the three.
Unbelievable.
Crazy, I know.
Wow.
I just feel like Daniel and beast mode, they need each other, right? LJ is more of a himself player.
okay.
Alpine Esports legend LJ. Jamal Jabari comes to mind. He's
Jamal
a player.
Jabari.
Remember that one?
Wow.
Blast from the
Throwback
past.
there,
Man.
Great poll from me. I mean, just beautiful. But LJ, he's a solid standalone player. I think Daniel and Beast Mode, they're really successful. They're really good players in their own right. They need each other to be able to solidify their spot at the top. I think LJ can do it by himself. He's got a bit of a monkey on his back with a hole. He hasn't won a regional yet. Whatever. I don't care. He's starting. I'm going to actually cut Daniel here, and I'm going to keep Beast Mode on the bench. Shopify Rebellion legend. KCP legend. Beast Mode, I can't do him that dirty. but he's gonna keep LJ's little seat warm for him. And Daniel, I'm sorry, you're going to Cancun. So that's my
Will,
take.
thank you so much, because now I feel way better about the exercise that I'll have to do. If you're cutting Daniel in the first round, all right,
Yeah, that is harsh.
I feel better.
All right,
That
yeah,
is
But
harsh.
I like the hot take for sure.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. My starting benching and cutting has to be done with Drali, Zen, and Atto. Well, I don't think I got the hardest bunch here,
Hmm.
because the best player in the world in the current moment is on this list. So I am obviously starting
Zen.
Zen, no, Drali, and I am cutting Zen. It's unbelievable if you look at how well his debut season went.
Hmm.
But it's going to be Atto on the bench, and he can. I think Atto is in such a good spot right now. He's proven himself on quite a few rosters now. So coming off the bench for any team, he would be an asset. So he's great to have there. But I'm mostly, of course, excited about having Drali on the team, starting him on the roster. And Zen, sorry, buddy, you have a lot of aura, but that doesn't win you any more championships than it did when you were in Düsseldorf. He was walking around like he owned the place, but he doesn't anymore. He has to sell all the real estate.
It would have been incredible scenes if you were like, I mean, this is easy. I got the best player in the world, and then Drali and Zen are here too. Atto. No, I mean that's people are going to be clamoring over themselves if you cut Zen to pick him up immediately. But like you're right, like Drali and Atto have been a great combination so far this season, so I get it.
All right, BA,
Well,
you got the
Belair,
minor
I'm up.
region round here. It's a fun
I
one.
I
got
have something to say about your bunch, but go ahead.
hey TRK 511, Naupo, and Yans.
What is a polar bear doing in Arlington,
Yan.
Texas?
Remember when you guys remember when we all thought it was Yanks for a while?
I
But
still
Yanks,
Chimako was
yeah.
saying Yanks, so I was like, well, he
Yeah.
should know better than anybody else. But Yan, Naupo, TRK, enough waffling. I think I'm going to start TRK. Consummate professional, has been at the top since the inception of MENA as a region, not only within his home region but also at the global stage. I think I'm probably going to. It depends on how you're approaching this exercise.
Exactly. Yep.
If I'm trying to think like long term, invest in the future, I'm gonna put Naupo on the bench. But for the purposes of how I'm approaching this, which is win now, I'm gonna put Yan on my bench. Think about like a 6 man in basketball, like bringing somebody in off the bench, and you have Yan. It's just like, hey, could you go crazy for like 8 minutes offensively? I think Yan's a perfect person to do that. And unfortunately, somebody's going to be very happy because now Naupo is a free agent. How do you guys think I did?
I was picturing the bench player as like the senior that never plays and hits a big three in his last game on senior night, more so than
On
like
senior night, they like let him
they
in.
go crazy. He's missed his last four,
Yeah.
but this is his time. But I I kind of made a face when you said that you would put Yanks on the yeah. Sorry, you
I
have me
did it to
doing
you.
You have me doing
I
it.
gotcha.
I just feel like no, I can't say his name either, man. This is brutal.
Nupo, Naupo,
This
doesn't
is a
really
tough
matter.
round for you,
Yeah,
Will.
man. Naupo, his time is now. I think he's. I guess I wouldn't start him over TRK,
Hmm.
Big Turk, if you will. But
Well, the whole senior night talk is a bit too American for me. But if I'm a manager or even a coach here, because managers don't have a lot to say in Rocket League, do they? I do not want the liability of having someone accused of racism on my bench, and I'm
Hmm.
cutting Nupo off the team. Even though, yes, in the long term he might be the greatest talent here, it's not something I want to be associated with as an org, as a team.
real Bob
So
Huggins move. I respect it.
it's not all about what's going on, how many goals you can put in the net. You're talking about someone who only got away without a ban because it happened outside of the game or outside of game chat or whatever.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a bit iffy, in my opinion.
Will over here trying to confuse Jens as much as possible with a Bob Huggins reference
I mean, I'm just ignoring
over
that.
here.
Do you know who that
Yeah,
is,
it's
Jens?
just
Do you have any idea?
No, I do. No, I
Okay.
do not.
Okay. But VA, you know what I'm talking about, though. I assume.
Bob Huggins is a coach. He's a collegiate coach. We'll
Mhm.
say that. If you don't know what senior night is, we won't dive
We
in
won't
No.
too
dive into
deep
what he
the
did, but
the Bob Huggins lore.
oh,
The only
it
the
worked
only
out well for
manager I
us.
know is Billy Bean. It's the only manager I know.
There you go, Billy Bean. That's if you got to know somebody, that's a good one to know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Will, you've been dealt the young guns. Honestly, maybe the hardest one for
Not for
Right?
me.
me
Not
personally.
for me at all.
No, not for you, Will.
I'm
Okay.
checking Twitter right
Let us
now.
know.
I'm checking Twitter right now. So I got Kofor pulled up right now. There's a big lack on his profile. It doesn't say following you. I go to Wavy. I go to Scribbles. I got the big following you. I don't have that from Kofor. Sorry, buddy. You're cut.
That's
Oh
right.
my
See you
god.
later. And then Scribbles, big follows you
That's
right
how
there.
business is done.
Love it. Wavy's been he likes all my really crappy, weird like MS Paint tweets. That's my goat. Get
Wavy
ready,
even
buddy.
follows
Suit
me.
up. You're starting.
Wavy, the Twitter
Yeah,
main, he
The
likes my
Twitter
stuff
main.
too. So
Yup.
yeah.
Yup.
yeah,
Biggest supporter. Scribbles just followed me, so I'll give him the bench spot for now. Um,
he heard he was in the segment. He
he
clambered
knew.
to his
He
computer
knew.
real
He was like,
quick. Yeah.
I gotta be at least in the top two of these three players. That's what he told himself. So,
Oh my gosh.
in terms of actual like gameplay, I think Scribbles is my starter. I will say I do like Wavy Ball a lot, and he's a little more consistent than Kofor is, as I guess in terms of comparing deleted results to 9 lives, although they're pretty early somewhere. Um, so I give Wavy the edge. This is a really tough one though. I think they all could start. They could all be benched and they could all be cut. I mean, they're really close. They're new. They're great players. So I definitely got dealt a tough hand here with Daniel Beast Mode LJ as
Mhm.
round one, and then you give me the next up trio of Kofor, Scribbles, Wavy. It's a tough
Yeah,
slot.
that's tough. But I like how you thought as a businessman.
As a businessman,
Just
a business
Hey.
connections. That's
decision.
what matters.
Wavy
It's all
suiting
about
up.
networking, you know.
All about the networking and the connections.
Jens,
I was
man.
thinking from HR, and you were thinking as a CEO. I
Mhm.
like it.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, you
Who
got a
knows
bit
where
of
I'm
a
thinking from? I'm still figuring it out.
it's hard to find an edge on that one, a good
Yeah.
angle. But Jens, you got a very interesting one. So you got To Die
I do
For,
actually. I wasn't
Sphinx,
even.
and Banana Head.
I'm still not even sure
Mm.
about this one. To die for swings and banana head. I mean, it's only too logical, almost too logical for me
hmm
to go by region. But it is kind of how I'm looking at these players as well. So that would mean starting banana head, benching swings, and cutting to die for. Uh, but it's not just a region. I think in terms of individual capacity capabilities, I think that's fair as well. All those things still seems to be growing and growing and getting to greater heights. Uh, Banana Head has showed so much uh, in OC and outside of it as well, right? He's really been someone that uh, I think is exciting to watch internationally. Like
Yeah.
he has cojones, as they say. He
Onions.
really just goes up against players that should, outplay him 1v2, 1v3, doesn't really matter. And he just goes for the challenges. He has this mindset, I think, that a lot of European players have that makes Europe such a scary region. Because, players, even though they don't have the experience or the notability, even, they can just go for crazy pre-flying dunks on the top pros in the region, and I think Banana Head really does that on an international stage as well. So I'm starting Banana Head. I am benching Sphinx because I want to keep him around. I want to see him improve even more. Although at the moment, APEC is also overrun with import, so it's hard for him to really get to show what he can do. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. In the case of Sphinx, in the case of other people, I think it's just straight up a negative. In case of Sphinx, he's really valued by a lot of other players, and he gets to play with a lot of the top players coming into the region or in the region. So he can improve and become better because of that. But I mean, it takes away the experience that he personally could get as well, I think, especially internationally. So, and then to die for, I mean, SSA, not in a great state right now. Love the region, love the people who are passionate about the region, but it's kind of done to death, and to die for is to die for it.
And I think I have the same. I would have the same answers if I were in your shoes for this one. In the Open 3, only 5 of the top 16 teams were full South American rosters. You were talking about how it's been overrun by imports. So it's definitely the case. And I know that
South American.
I'm sorry?
South American?
No. South African, excuse me.
South African. Okay, that makes
Yes.
sense.
Sorry. And Will, you and I had talked about, thinking about players being imported over to other regions. I think we had talked about Sphinx before, like how good would he do in North America?
Yeah.
I think Chicago and Hoxer have become a great litmus for insert other player.
Ooh.
If you were to insert all 3 of these players onto a Chicago Hoxer roster, I think that Jens, your answer is exactly how I would assume they would perform. I think a Banana Head team would do the best, a Sphinx team next, and then it's a Die 4 team third.
Although I can see Sphinx actually really, really growing in that situation.
Agreed.
Maybe he would even get ahead of Banana Head in that case. But I like that thought experiment, putting him in there. Yeah.
Let's see if you can apply that same logic to our next round here. So Bel Air, you've got Eugen Nico Mitzer. How are we pronouncing that? Man, I just can't.
Is it Metzer?
I've always been saying Mitzer in my head.
I think it's Mitzer. I'm not sure either.
But you got some young guns here.
I'll ask around.
Yeah, I'll cover both bases. Mitzer, Metzer. Eugen, that's the only way to say that one. I feel like I was given this one, and I just want to do a favor to our friend who is out today. This obviously was here to hype up Nico FC. So I'll go ahead and start Nico here. One of the hottest young prospects that we have. Eugen on the bench, and unfortunately, I'm going to cut Metzer.
Wow.
Gotta say, of all the players that are on this entire list here, I've probably watched the least Metzer gameplay, even including players like Tadai and Sphinx, just because I've seen them on LAN and done the preparation leading into those majors. I don't have a well-formed opinion there, but in all seriousness, I would probably start Eugen. But
I gotta say,
got to do a solid for our buddy here.
In terms of Mitzer, man, you're missing out. He's a hooper.
Am I? That's what I've heard.
Save the game. Then they get like 9 through 11 with extra in Big 2025. I think you could attribute that most to him. He played really well in Shift Summer League. Rest in peace.
I've seen him there. I've seen some save the game, just not as much as the others.
Yeah. He really is a hooper, but he's just not on the same level as Eugen, and I don't think anyone is. Although it is crazy that the entire episode we haven't mentioned the names of Nico's teammates yet. 2 other great French prodigies, Matt and Gyuk. I don't know how to pronounce the last name.
Gyuk.
Yeah.
I thought it was Juke, like you're doing.
Yeah, probably
like a juke.
Because his first name is Giuliano, so probably.
I would do it. That's a tough name. Sorry to the Carmine Corp fans, but it's way better than a toe. Sorry, that just doesn't have a lot of aura behind it. It just sounds like a
Atao Rical?
Nah, it's lame. Lame. You know what's cool? Juke. He's gonna juke you out. He's calling his shot. He's like Babe Ruth.
Right.
Awesome.
I don't think that came to his mind, but it's a nice name and it's a nice player. I think Matt as well has really, got into this this list of next up players.
Oh yeah.
If Shift was still up and running the next up campaigns, we would have something to say about him as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Juke, one of the true grinders that we have in the rank scene these days as well. Like him, Scribbles are always putting in massive hours.
Great to see.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do we want to transition into our final segment here?
Let's get stupid.
Let's
I
get
love getting
stupid.
stupid.
No stupid segments.
Oh,
Is the name of this segment.
that's too bad.
In the no stupid segments, we always introduce a stupid segment. If
Oh,
you watched last time around, you saw us try to determine whether or not it was what was it, old Astro tournament players or rapper names?
Yeah. SoundCloud
Will,
rapper or bubble player is awesome.
this is my no stupid segment. Stupid segment. This is the top 4 tester. So I'm gonna give you guys some names, and you can go back and forth. You know, Jens can go first, and then Will, and then we'll flip flop all the way down. And you have to tell me whether or not this player has made an RLCS sanctioned top 4 LAN appearance.
This is a bit
Right?
of a
So
shame.
we're not
so
including.
terrible at this. I am actually garbage at this, considering how much I've written, talked, and done around Rocket League Esports. It's impressive how bad my memory is for past tournaments, because Wikipedia is a blessing and a curse. And in this case, it's definitely a curse, because you don't have to remember it if it's so easy to look up.
And now Jens is gonna go 7-0 on this exercise. I know.
He's an
I can
old head,
feel it.
and I'm not. I joined season 6, maybe season 7.
I
Yeah,
took
but
that
then
into
Then
account,
OG.
Will.
Okay.
I
Okay.
took that into account. Don't
Alright.
worry. I didn't give you any like real historical old school
I mean, I could
ones. I felt like that
try.
would be unfair.
I feel like I have some ball knowledge. I could definitely. I have a deep. I pulled up
I mean,
Jamal Jabari earlier. I feel like
that's
That
that's
was
true.
kind of
incredible.
a good
I'm
bag.
still
Wasn't that in like the grid era?
That was. Yeah.
mm.
Love that
They were
team.
playing the grid. Oh, that
Well,
was incredible. I was staying up on the Sunday nights to watch the NA grid.
We
No,
need
no,
more
grid was on
primetime
Wednesday.
ball,
No,
man.
but
I've
grid
been
was on
saying
Wednesday.
this.
But I would stay up for for those tournaments because
Hmm.
I would be writing the top 10 power rankings for NA on Monday.
Hmm.
That was crazy time.
The top.
well, to do you both a favor and not have you dig too far into the recesses of your mind, the 7 players we're going to talk about will all be participating at the Birmingham Major.
Okay.
Oh,
That makes it a
okay.
lot easier. I think.
So,
I
well,
don't
we'll
think so.
see.
A lot
We'll
more
see.
lands to consider.
Jens, you're the guest. I'll let you go first on our first name here. CRR. Has CRR made a top 4 RLCS sanctioned LAN appearance?
Top 4. Instinctively, I want to say no. I'm trying to remember if there was an instance where it could have gotten top 4. Complexity.
Yeah, it's a good
4.
name out of the gates. I'm really good at this game that I made up.
Ah. Yeah, this is a tough one for me, but maybe it's super simple. Maybe I'm just having a brain fart about it, but I'm gonna say, oh, I'm so not sure. I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Are you sure? Final answer? Just to confuse you even
Well, I'm
further?
not sure,
Okay.
but it is a final answer.
Okay. So we have a no from Jens. Will,
I'm gonna say yeah.
CRR.
I don't remember what land it was, but I remember I was in Michigan and I was covering it from my grandma's house. It was either a top 6 or a top 4. It was 2 Sam teams, one from Sam and one from North America that made it.
Mm.
It was pretty. I think so. I want to say
But would have
yes. I want to say yes.
Maybe
made it.
Will
Maybe
is final answer?
I'm gonna lock it in. I'm probably wrong, but I'm gonna lock
Okay.
it in.
So Jens said no tentatively. Will said yes tentatively. Will, maybe you're recalling the 22-23 Winter Major
Mhm.
where CRR got a top 3 or 4 finish. The only one
let's
of his
go.
career. He's been to 7 RLCS LAN events, 1 top 4.
Yeah. That's actually, I think, more recent players are actually more difficult for me
I
because
know,
there's
yeah.
so many lands.
Yeah.
Because you're like, wait, am I forgetting? Am I forgetting one here?
Like 3 a year instead of just 1.
Yeah.
With a
Oh, it's a
even
world
more limited.
championship?
No. But back then we didn't have majors. We only had world championships.
Well, I'm saying, is this top 4 at a Worlds or top 4 at a major?
No, 22-23 Winter Major.
So it doesn't count. So Jens got it.
Oh no, you got it. So
Yeah.
the rules are any RLCS LAN event top
Okay.
4.
Okay. Sick.
Majors, World Championships.
Ball
Yes.
knowledge.
I'm just not including like FIFA E or Esports World Cup or
Gotcha.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
makes
Gamers
sense.
8 stuff.
Okay.
What about Let's stay in South America, why don't we? I didn't put these in order, so I'm just kind of crossing them off as I go. What about KV1? Talked about him earlier in the pod. KV1, yes or no? Will, you can go first.
I'm laughing because my dad just texted me in all caps WTF, reacting to the West Virginia loss. But KV1, secret player.
He didn't think KV1 would be on the pod. He's
Yeah,
like,
he's
what
like,
what
what
is
is this
going on?
question from Belair? It's so obvious.
We're beaming him in live, yeah.
You know, I'm gonna play the numbers game and say that you're putting him on here because he hasn't made a top 4.
Okay.
I
So
feel
you
like
say
the
no.
only top 4s that I can think of would be Complexity and Furia. I don't think KV1's ever made it.
Mm,
With the
okay.
club or with Secret. So I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
I
Jens,
don't know if
KV1.
he was on the team at the time, but didn't make Team Secret the top 4 at Rotterdam. So I'm going to lock in yes, just of that
I think he
memory.
was.
But I
I think you're right.
don't know if it
Okay.
was
Okay.
a right memory.
Rotterdam, was that the 22-23 fall major where they took down version
Yes.
1 and made their top 4? That's
Mm.
I have
correct.
the poster behind me.
You
Is that what
do.
that is?
You do.
I
I
like that
noticed
one a
that
lot.
earlier.
Yeah.
It's clean.
Yeah, KV1 was on that roster. So
Oh
yes is
wow!
the
And I got the
answer.
right major.
What a
I'm happy
pull.
about that.
Nailed it. So we're 1-1 right now. Don't worry, I'm keeping score. Even though I kept score last time and I think I got it wrong, Will. Okay. Let's move out of South America. And why don't we go to the other side of the globe here? What about the oldest head that we have on the board, Horsauce? He's been around a lot.
He has
Been
been.
around a lot. Has he got top 4?
Demir Jens.
I think it's Jens
Ooh,
first.
it's
It's
mine.
Jens first. Yeah.
Torsos. Love the guy. I even have his presets, his Dominus with a power
With the sunglasses.
with the sunglasses, of course, the pixelated shades. I've used it for a couple months. Just great to see him qualifying to so many lands still. But has he made a top 4? I think it's eluded him every time. I'm gonna say no.
Jens says no.
All
I think
right.
What
top
does
8,
Will
The
say?
top
door's
6
open,
is
and I'm gonna lock in yes just to make it interesting. But I am saying, for the record, I am waffling between a top 6 and a top 4. Because I know an OC team has done it, and I know it was Torsos for a fact that they had like the highest recent placement. But I'm not sure if it was 6 or 4.
Oh man.
I think it was
Yeah, that's
RLCS
that.
season 5 or 6.
Close. That was that season 6 top 4
Season
from the
6.
Chiefs
Yeah.
that Torsauce was a part of.
Yeah.
So yes,
Oh,
ever since then, but that season 6, got it.
Will's
season
first land.
6.
That was my first.
Wait, who
Really?
else was on that team?
Was that CJ
Let me look it up.
and
CJ.
maybe not. CJ might have been on.
It
Can I do this
was
before Will says it out
Torsos,
loud?
Drippe, and Kami.
I was
Drippe
gonna say
and Kami.
Drippe, but Kami I couldn't have imagined. Yeah.
I should have said Kami.
They lost to
Kami, who
Cloud9.
he might have got passed over by this point in time. Yeah, they got beat pretty easily by Cloud9 in that semifinals. But Kami,
Right.
for
Yeah.
a long time, the all-time RLCS assist leader. I'm sure by now he's been passed. But when he retired, he was number 1.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I can visualize
Uh,
it. No. Ah,
How about we?
2-1, right? For Will.
It is 2-1 for Will. How about we head to Europe?
Good luck, Will.
Yeah, I'm screwed.
What about Joria's?
What about him?
Been on a lot of good teams.
What about him?
Been on a lot of good
Joris Robbe.
teams.
What about
Mhm.
Joris?
What about Joris?
I think if he has made it, it was with Dig. But I think didn't they crash out of that one major pretty early? So maybe he made it with Oxygen. But I don't remember. I don't know if our good friends at Oxygen ever made a top 4 with that team.
God, these are good names, huh?
Hmm?
I'm stumping you guys on all of these.
I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
have you had a no yet?
Who knows?
No, you haven't. So I'm gonna
No.
go no. I'm saying no.
Okay,
Playing the
I see
numbers,
what you're
Shane.
trying to do. Trying to play the numbers.
Oh,
Hmm?
well then I'm just gonna say only put yeses in. I I can't think what tournament it would have been, but he's been to quite a few. I'm
Mhm.
gonna say yes.
Well, it depends on how you read it because Jorius did make a top 4 in the season X for winter,
Oh,
but
that
that's
doesn't
for
yeah,
count.
Europe, so it's not a
not
LAN.
a major. No.
So it's not a major. It's a no for Joris.
Yeah.
What was the highest he
Uh,
gotten outside of that, like at an actual LAN? Was it top
I
8?
don't recall. I looked through everybody's. Do you have Liquipedia in front of you?
Yeah, I do.
And I think Will, the bomb out you were talking about was when it was what Dig with Jack and Scrubkilla. They
Jack
had
and
a really
Scrub.
poor result.
Yeah.
Top 8
Top 8.
in where was that? Fall
Fall
major of
21
21-22.
and
So in
fall
Sweden.
22.
Oh, that was the just like COVID, but still international tournaments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because remember they had the Ukraine unis. And
Yeah.
they had that coach that was there for just like one split, maybe even just the tournament, and he was immediately
Was that
gone. The
was
older
that like the
gentleman.
50-year-old man?
Yeah.
Yeah, the mental coach they
Yeah.
had.
He was
Yeah.
gone
I have
immediately
another
after.
fun anecdote about that major. ESL was organizing RLCS events, right?
Hmm?
Uh, not anymore, but they were for quite a few years, and they were bringing in everyone to Stockholm, to their home city, so easy for them. And it was just a studio event anyway, right? There was no
Mhm.
crowd because it was still COVID era, but they could get everyone there just under very strict measures. Like the players could barely leave their hotel rooms and had to be escorted to go places, right?
Yeah.
Just be strict about it because otherwise it's such a mess to deal with people going everywhere and maybe getting in places where they shouldn't be and getting having to get tested again and again and again. So they
Yeah.
want to avoid all that. But the ESL is mostly known for organizing like Counter-Strike events and stuff where the average pro player age is somewhere in their 20s. And they're like, they're dudes. They're not guys, they're dudes.
Yeah.
So they were asking the people who they were working with from the Rocket League side, a couple friends of mine, which of these players smokes, then we can know how to arrange smoking breaks. And the Rocket League team had to be like, no one. The average age is like 16. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Didn't
It's so
Cookser
funny.
back in the day? I'm pretty sure he did. But I don't think anybody
I
else that
might
I can
have.
think of.
On
I mean,
stage.
of course, Fruity uses snooze. I can't imagine he doesn't. Like all Danish people uses some kind of tobacco, like the what do you call it
Mhm.
in the NA?
Vape? A jewel?
The nicotine pouches.
Yeah,
Oh, a
like a
Zin?
dip.
Yeah, you have
Or
Zin,
dip?
but of course with tobacco
Yeah.
you'll have them too. But yeah, I mean, I know some
Yeah.
ex-pro players who came to Rotterdam to celebrate the tournament basically, and were using the Dutch coffee as they sell it in coffee shops quite regularly. But other than that, yeah, of course the players were not there going on smoking breaks.
Which
That's
players
such
are
a
smoking?
yeah, it's such a funny question if you don't know the Rocket League audience.
That's so funny. And it's good that we got to avoid remember the World Championship where Semper were on fire? They went like 3-0 to make it into the main event, and then
Mhm.
Casio was the only player
Yeah.
on the
Oh
stage
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so sad.
because Exotic and Shaw Set
Yeah.
were playing from hotel rooms. That was
They
so
got
funny to
COVID.
see.
That was
Yeah.
nuts.
Okay, Joris is off the board. We have 2 left in their teammates.
Ooh.
Are we still keeping score? Or did you.
I am keeping score,
Okay.
yes. It's 3-1.
Let's go.
Will, you're 3-1.
Let's go.
3-1, 1-3, because you guys have actually flip-flopped every time. What about Archie?
Archie, huh? Archie.
Formerly of Semper Esports.
Indeed,
He's got that connectivity with Exotic we just talked about.
Indeed. Archie. I don't know. I want to say yes again. I've only said yes. It's only mostly been yes, apart from this one. We're running out of players to have a no on, so numbers game, I would say no, but I'm gonna say no. Actually, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna flip. It's a no
Jens,
for me.
good game. GG's. Because I'm pretty sure when Joria's lost, he lost to Semper in that top 8 finish.
Oh,
So
can
I'm
you
going to
repeat
say
that?
yes. Did I cut out?
Will, can you repeat that? I didn't hear you there.
Did I cut out?
Yeah, what'd you
Yeah.
say when Joria's?
I said GG because when Joria's didn't get that top 4, he bat out top 8. He lost to Semper.
Oh
He lost, and
no.
I think he lost to Archibald.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, must have then. Yeah.
So
So you're going
I'm
yes,
saying
Will?
yes.
Are you recalling the 21-22 fall major
I
where
am.
Archie
Oh,
made the top 4?
I am.
damn it.
It was a yes.
Let's
And, now
go.
with one round left, all we have to play for is pride.
Hmm?
So, Will, you're going first. Oh, I lied. I have 2 more rounds. How exciting is that?
Ooh.
That
Uh,
changes things. I would have guessed yes then.
now you can keep it going. Let's go with Archie's teammate, Oli.
Well,
I
it's
think
on Will.
it's me again, and I'm going to say yes again, but not with Semper. I'm going to go with Oxygen. He made it. Also to beat Jorius.
Okay.
No, wait, no, he was on the team with Jorius. I'm outgaming myself here.
So
I'm gonna say
what's gonna
no.
be?
I'm saying no.
No for
I don't think
Oli.
he made the top 4 at
I
alone.
think you're right, but I think I can only win if I go against you for every question from now. So I will say yes, just
So you're
to have
you're
a
gonna
chance at winning.
you're gonna say yes, but you think it's no. You both
Yeah.
think no on Oli.
No
Okay.
Leon Oli.
No on Oli. Well, Jens, your chances of winning aren't getting any better, but you both
Yeah,
had
no.
it correct. Yeah, Oli has not made a top 4 RLCS sanctioned LAN
Couldn't have
event.
won otherwise anyway, so
That's okay. I understand the gamesmanship. I respect it.
had to
This is
go
like
for it.
you're down late and you're just trying to foul, and Will keeps making them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I see what you're trying to do here.
Fun fact, in
Um,
my rec
yeah,
intramural league, I was 10 for 10 from the free throw line. You can't
incredible
ice me,
stuff.
man. You
Did
can't.
you see that guy who uh purposefully missed his second free throw? So and put it really high, so the other team didn't have a chance to throw it to the other side.
Will, did you see this?
That's hilarious.
Happened this
This
week.
is Trey Young you're talking about.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
didn't,
And
Yeah.
but that
his
sounds like
teammate
him.
didn't know what was happening. Like, why did you miss? And then he explained to him, like,
And he's like,
oh, of
oh
course,
yeah,
why you're so smart.
That's funny.
yeah.
Jens
That was,
actually knows sports references that I didn't, but I know that people do that.
well, it
But
was incredible because he skied it high, like Yen said, and it just skimmed the front of the rim. It
Skimmed
was
it, yeah.
like it was
Because
unbelievable.
I didn't know the rules, but I guess it has to hit at least the rim to count.
yeah,
Yeah, because if he
otherwise
would
it's a
have
dead
missed,
Yeah,
ball.
it's you
yeah,
just get it out of bounds. So it was
right.
a definitely
Very
respect
smart.
to Trey for even trying it. Speaking of Trey, who plays basketball in North America, I don't know. I'm working on the transitions. You got to workshop them.
And
The
you've got a whole
only,
season to figure it out.
it's early days. At least we've figured out Will and I talking over each other for the most part. So
Yeah.
it's baby steps. Let's head over to North America for our final name. LJ. He's yet to win a regional within North America, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't done very well at the international stage.
It's
LJ.
true. That's true.
And Jens, I think you're going first.
I think so too. I don't think he's ever made a finals, but I can't imagine him not placing in the top 4 at some point. I'm gonna say yes.
This is lame for me, but I'm also saying yes. I think it was at a Worlds where that was the only NA team that made the top 4, and I didn't feel too confident about it, but it was whatever.
Okay.
And I think he did, and then they lost, and I was very sad.
This is something I feel like we should just know, but
Yeah,
yeah,
as
I
fans
don't
of the
know.
game,
But it makes much more sense that he did than that he didn't.
Well, what other way could you end the No Stupid segment on ShiftCast other than both of the hosts being wrong? LJ has never made a top 4.
Oh
It's
no.
unfortunate. Here, let me hit you with the stats on him real quick. I actually double checked because I was like, man, do I have this wrong? You both were so confident. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if we want to count Esports World Cup. He has 3 5th through 8th finishes.
Wow.
Four
no.
5th through 8th finishes if you want to count the 7th through 8th from the 24 World Championship, but has not eclipsed that.
Wow.
We're talking about the Joria's curse. It looks like it follows LJ to LAN events
He
here.
was one game
Right,
away
yeah.
from beating Furia too at Worlds. So that's
He
tough.
was.
That is tough.
He's right
Yeah,
there.
it's crazy because he's so highly rated by, I mean, everyone.
And I still
Mhm.
rated him
Yes, you
higher
have
than
to-
Dan and Beast Mode. Crazy.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, you have the Jorius curse. You
Yep.
have the Tox curse of just missing out on making lands. But I guess you have an LJ curse somewhere too.
Jens, would you say that Tox is the Sisyphus of the RLCS?
Oh yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I would
I just
even.
thought of that. I don't know if that
Good
resonated
article.
with other
Yeah,
of you.
I would even publish an article about that.
Hey, somebody's got to do it, you know? If
Yeah, I mean, I'll get Finn to write it, but I'll publish it. Sure.
There we go. And I just want to double down again on the fact that LJ, no regional wins, none better than a 5th through 8th international finish, and Will is undeterred. Beast mode, Daniel.
Frauds.
See you later.
Frauds.
See you later. Bring in
LJ's got the
LJ.
aura test. He's got X vibes. He's like Radoshin if Radoshin actually had a good split.
Did you guys fun fact, I do like a little like Twitter segment before where I'll do like excitement meter for like some of the games that are happening on Saturdays and Sundays, and I tweeted out like that I thought how one of the Ultimate Series was gonna go, and I got the prediction correct, but I guess the score line way wrong. It was them against SSG. I thought it was gonna be in 7. And LJ's dad tweeted at me after they won, try again. I was like, oh man, LJ's dad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
Jedi
I
Master
thought
himself.
I did my due diligence. Like I felt good about it, you know. And so, you know,
Brutal.
Yeah.
maybe to help him out, I'll tweet that Ultimates are going to bomb out of the major just to give them the reverse, not caster curse, but
You're gonna get
Twitter
tried again.
hyper.
Twitter analyst.
Yeah, this time he hits me with like all capital letters. Yeah, this Twitter analyst don't know what they're talking about.
Hold that.
Right.
Try again, but
Well, Will, congratulations on winning the round of not being stupid.
Jens, you did caveat it and say that you probably wouldn't do very well at this. So
That's true.
Yeah, well,
you got ahead of it, you know.
that's called being a coward.
2 cop outs in the
Should've
same
been-
pod. Brutal.
Yeah, exactly. I should
I
have just gone
disagree.
into it with full confidence. Maybe I would have won.
That's what it's all about the confidence. That's what you got to bring.
Got a aura.
It's all the mental game, you know.
Yeah.
Just like
ShiftCast
rugby.
number 2, guys.
We did it.
Another
It's in
one in the
books.
books. Jens, thank you for coming on and doing your best impersonation of Michael for us.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank
maybe
you
maybe
for having me on
come
again.
back in the future and we see you add more ducks.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
next
the
time
main
it'll be like a
reason-
huge duck, you know, like on your shelf.
Yeah.
And we'll see it
Actually,
for sure.
I don't know if you can see on my shoulder. There's a duck sitting in my chair. That's a pretty big duck, but it could be bigger. That's true. But the main
yeah.
reason I can't really be on ShiftCast regularly anymore is that I have a teacher job to get up for, and with Michael getting out of work, doing recording like 6 Eastern, I guess. That would put me way past midnight, so that's
Yeah.
it's a bit of a bummer. But I'll come back at some point, I'm sure.
Glad we got to grab you today. Will, I don't know if you have an identification on that duck there. It looks like a muscovy to me, but I don't know. Maybe
It
that's
looks
just
like
me.
a common mallard, to be honest.
I
don't
could be
know.
wrong.
It's,
That could be a
doesn't look
mallard.
very accurate to anything. I think it's just a duck.
I'll look it
I
up
think
on
you're
my
right.
app later.
Yeah, use Merlin
Yeah.
and check that out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Mike.
Jens,
weird.
anything that we should be watching out for you? I know that you're kind of out of the scene, but where can people check you out? Are you still active anywhere?
I mean, I'm still available on Twitter and Blue Sky under my full name, Jens Korsta. But honestly, if you want to hang out, just join the Shift Discord server. I'll be there. So yeah, I'll be around. I'll keep an eye on things. You know, I'm one of the unks keeping an eye out. So well, we're watching.
it's good to know that you're still, anytime we see a result or see a finish, I'll just know that Jens is out there somewhere watching. It's
Yeah,
good to have that
I will be
watchful
watching.
eye. Will, anything that you got going on? I know that you might make a sad West Virginia Lost graphic here in your near future.
I might.
Definitely graphics from you as the off season or the trade window starts to approach here.
So I haven't asked.
Anything to plug?
I'm not really working on anything at the moment, to be honest. I have my goofy little silly tweets every once in a while, like the jersey thingy a couple
Mm-hmm.
days ago. But follow me if you want dumb tweets about Rocket League, and then sprinkled in with some West Virginia depression tweets, or Miami depression tweets, or any of my sports teams. They all suck.
If it's good enough for Scribbles and Wavy,
Exactly. If it's approved by the Young Guns, then
So
why
true.
not, right?
Yeah, you
Um,
know.
and then I guess
Also, apart from ShiftCast, Will is keeping the Shift branding afloat
trying.
on the Twitter account. Sometimes I remember to repost them on Blue Sky, where you can follow Shift too.
Mhm.
But you know, all Will really.
Yeah, I've been
I
trying.
didn't know that it was split. I've been liking them on Blue Sky too. I'm hitting them on
Yeah,
both
that's
sides. I
me,
didn't know it
baby.
was different people. Well,
That's
I'm
me.
interacting with both of you, so
Yeah, maybe a
good
little
to
shout
know.
out
Didn't even know it.
to Beast Mode, not the player, but the dog, 'cause she's getting
Mode.
surgery.
Shout out to Mode.
Shout out to Mode. Recover soon. Sorry you have to wear a cone. They probably
You're in our
suck.
thoughts.
Yeah.
That's Michael's dog, for those who don't know. But everyone should know because Mode,
Mode literally made
celebrity.
an appearance last podcast. So.
Oh, he did.
Mode.
That's true.
hmm
Yeah, he did. Put him
First
in
guest
full
of season
screen.
2.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good to have him. All right, fellas, is that a wrap?
That's a wrap.
that's a wrap.
Thanks for tuning in,
I don't.
everybody.
Yeah, I don't know if we have an
I'll be,
outro.
I'll be tuning in next week. See you then.
Adios.
See
You
you then.
won't see me, but I will see you.
Later,
Bye-bye.
everybody.